Good evening, Shaggy SoCal with 2Old4Forza, and it's time for Hockenheim Ring National. Again, this is the second race for week 2 in the Falcon XB, and this is going to be a little interesting because not that I haven't raced the national layout before, it's just I've only done like 6 or 7 laps in this car on the wheel, so I'm still sorting a few things out, but we'll still do what we normally do. Is I'll do a couple flying laps, talk about what I'm trying to do, then I'll do kind of quote unquote track walk and get a little more in depth on each of the turns, and then I'll do a mock race, kind of what I think based off what Matt's put out there as far as race length, and we'll actually see if that's going to be in that 35-36 minute range. Plus, it gives me some traffic, and we might have some interesting things happen there. So with that, let's just go ahead and get in the test drive and do a couple of more laps. This is definitely a track, at least my initial laps that I've been doing. If you've gotten good at steering with the rear, steering the rear of the car with the throttle, you're probably going to really enjoy the Hockenheim Ring, this national layout. Down to second gear, down to first. Still pushing a little bit. Cold tires, maybe. Curbs are a little bit. Curbs aren't as forgiving here as they've been at other tracks. So I think you might want to try and avoid them if possible. Transition back onto the track has a little bit of a hump, so just watch the rear there. Probably a little too much slide in the rear. Heading into the stadium section, play chicken with the wall. Yeah, I let the back step out a little bit more than I have been. A little wide out there, we'll do one more. Once we get a good flying lap here into turn 1. Braking about in between the first two, well, right there, down to second. Let off, the back end of the car is going to step out a little bit as you turn in, and just kind of slowly roll back into the throttle to keep it in check. And here, look for the green access road. There's a bit of that curving. Taking the more traditional line that the game suggests versus how I've taken it usually with the higher class cars. Usually I like taking that a little bit wider. I'm braking a little too much there, but that's all right. And a little too much throttle, a little too much muchness. You can do this in second gear. It is low in the rev range. I don't know. I don't think it's so low that you have to go down a gear. We can talk about that on the quote-unquote track walk here. A little late with the downshift. Use a bit of that curving. You can use a little of that curving. Oh, nope, didn't need to go to first. All right, so that's just kind of 2 example laps. That now takes me, I think that takes me up to 10 laps I've done here on the wheel. But let's talk about what I'm trying to do here for turn 1. Let me just make sure I get my reference. Okay, so I'm going to back it up here a little bit. So again, as I said, if you've gotten good at, if you've gotten used to using the throttle to kind of help, and again, it's not just application to get exit oversteer or like that, but it's even coming off as you turn in to kind of help the back of the car rotate a little bit without it, without it stepping so far out that you're now into a slide that you've got to correct. Um, this should be a pretty fun circuit. So what I'm doing coming down to turn one is your third gear. The braking point, I don't have a definitive landmark that I'm using. So I am looking for where the braking line starts. Again, if I've gotten a good run, it's usually at least in trying to correlate it to a static marker, it is this, and I guess it's a flag stand shack here with a little blue roof there on the left side. Put that in the middle there. So usually I'm kind of looking at that as a reference point to help me figure out where to brake and turn in. Usually it's just before I get to it. And by get to it, meaning just before it goes out of screen. So not quite at the edge of the screen, not quite waiting for it to go out of screen, but it's just before that. It's about where you hit the red line there. So that is brake down to second gear. Where I am trying to lift and turn in is just as you're getting past the 50 board, right about where this curving ends. I'm trying to get my braking done, and I'm going to come off the brakes as I turn in for turn one. Now, as you turn in, especially brake and you come off, I'm not really going to be on the throttle yet. So the turn in, the back of the car is going to step out a little bit, and this is the fun part. If you can learn how to get that, just get that little bit of step out, a little bit of slide as you turn in, and get to the exit. You want to clip this curb here a little bit, and then start rolling back into the throttle. Now, if the back's turned out and you roll back into the throttle, you'll be straight. If you and I can try and induce this in the mock race. But if you go too quickly back, you might then throw an extra bit of torque and get the tires to spin up and get the back of the car to rotate a little bit more. The whole idea is it's kind of like what I said at Spa. You want that. Ideally, you want that just that little bit of slide, a little bit of four-wheel drift through here, but not so much where you're having to counter steer. The perfect amount is that you'll be turned. You might just have to open it up just a smidge, and the car just kind of glides through glides and slides out the exit. Again, exit curving, we know we can use a bit of this. You can cross over the line. I think Hockenheim's curving is a little bit more unforgiving than other places. I try to stay off of it if possible. The other thing I think I tested one of the last time we were here, if you find that you get way off, then you're all the way out. And we can play with this in test race in the week. If you get all the way out, just ease off in the gas, slow the car down, and if you even want to run straight in the gas and then bring it out, when you get up here where you hit the kind of the access roads here, and then bring it on about here, that'll give chance if there's traffic to work around you, then you can kind of merge back on safely. I may test that in the race just to kind of see if what I think will work. And again, it'll allow you to get the car back under control, get it back on track, and hopefully not lose too much time. Versus, hey, you've gone wide, and it's like, oh, I've got to check up before I get the time penalty. Well, the problem is that you're on the racing line, and if you got somebody behind you, all of a sudden you're checking up, and they're going to run into you. So we'll play around with that. But now, so that was turn one, heading up here to turn two. Braking here with this car for me is still this green access road here on the left side. So as I'm reaching that, this is where I'm braking for turn two. This is one of those where I think you have choices with the gearing of the car. I think for me, second gear is a little too low. It still feels a little low. Time-wise, I don't think it's too much of a difference, but it's just kind of like, what does the car feel like? It feels like it's a little sluggish in second gear. Plus, again, it's like what I've talked about in other track guides where, having it in the higher gear with the lower RPMs, the car's a little bit more relaxed. It's not going to want to turn in as easily because, the car's not going to have as much weight on the nose versus if you put it into first, you're now higher up in the gear range. It's slowing the car, the gearing is slowing the car down and helping keep weight on the front of the car. So second gear is possible. You just got to make sure you get all your braking done and get it fully done before you release and turn in. If you got it in first, that'll help you a little bit. It gives you a little more point to the car, a little more agile. So I think I'll be doing first through here. brake, 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 turn in. This is one you can use a bit of the inside curbing. Now in faster cars, like when we're running like the higher class prototypes and race cars, my usual thing I like to do is to hug the inside here and sacrifice a little bit of the exit of this turn to open up this next one because it leads onto the straight. Um, so usually I'm trying to line up the access road here to line up and then cut across. This car being in C class C475, you can probably follow more what the game suggests, which is, kind of exit out of the first turn here, maybe about mid track, and you can be about mid track. Uh, I wouldn't be any I wouldn't be any further left than mid track, but then you can actually just follow the racing line, the suggested line through here. You can clip that curb a little bit. Again, I would try and keep it neat and tight if possible. You don't want to really do anything to upset the car with that curb, and especially then getting on the outside of this one. You know, so second gear, third gear, keep it neat, not here. Heading down in, now we're not going all the way down. This is the national circuit, so we're going to be turning right a little bit sooner, excuse me, than the last time we were here, which I think was in the Bentley. So coming down, so as far as coming down down this straight, you'll go all the way out to the right. Just start bringing the car back to about mid track. What you're going to be looking for, if you can't, unfortunately, it's like I don't have any real extra reference points to say look for this to get lined up for the braking. Look for the suggested line if you can spot it. Other things you might want to look for is, and again, I don't have the line on, so we can't see it. But if you look straight down, you can see the four cones that are kind of blocking off the to say don't go on the main circuit. The one that's all the way on the right, and it actually sticks out a little bit more. That's a good thing to aim for. You can see the white buildings, or maybe those are billboards, signage boards. Past that, if you can spot those are things that it can help get you pointed in the right direction, especially in traffic. Um, Braking, unfortunately, again, this is another one of the cases where there's not too many good reference points. So one of the things I kind of look for is talking too much, not breathing enough. One of the things I'm looking for is you can see where the the main circuit white line goes, and then you can see where then the national circuit kind of breaks off, and it kind of comes to that point there on the right side. Um, that's something to kind of keep an eye on. I'm not saying brake here. If you brake there, I think it's still way too soon. The suggested line is going to have you brake somewhere between where that starts and maybe about halfway up between that and where the point of the grass is there. So, again, if you're in traffic heat of the moment, just kind of keep an eye on where things are at. Hey, I've seen the point go by, where the national circuit starts to break away. You're getting close. Um, so again, here's the horseshoe hairpin or the double apex hairpin cutting over for the national circuit. Again, this is another one where you can do it in second gear, but you're going to need to get your braking done. I think it's more comfortable to do it in first. So your mileage may vary, your experience may vary, but I'll probably be doing it in first 9 times out of 10. So I might miss the apex more often than not here. Let the car go out, but bring it back. And really, what I'm hoping to be able to do is to get, of the few curbings where if you're going to get on it, is this one here. You can see the inside curbing here is flat, so you can get on that no problem. It's not going to upset the car. Just don't get onto the sausage curb, the orange sausage curb on the inside there. That'll upset the car, and you might violate track limits. But you can use a bit of this curbing on exit. The one thing here is the way this turn, exits and enters, between the parts of the circuit. There is a little bit of a crest here as you crest over on back onto the main circuit. So just watch as you're rolling back into power. You may notice that as you cross over right about here, as you're getting back to full power, the back end's going to step out a little bit. It's not going to be heinous. It's just going to be just a little bit. If you really think it's going wide, just maybe flick just open the steering up a little bit and then recommit. I don't think you really need to come out of the throttle at all. So let's see, first gear up to second. And again, for me, braking for this next turn is going to be, just past where this curbing starts. Again, and you could probably leave it in second through here as well. This course is mostly second gear, but I think from an agility standpoint, first is better. It's more confident. I'm not at this point noticing any major difference in lap times, so I'll probably drop it to first, turn in. I'll use a bit of this inside curbing, roll the car out to the right side, not all the way, pop it up to second. And I'm going to aim to actually, this is probably where I'll probably cheat and get on this curbing just a little bit, but still going to be straight. I'm not actually going to try and turn while I'm on this curbing. So it's usually just as I get off of this, I'm going to lift the throttle and turn in. This one's going to take some time for me to get right, because again, it's back to those, because I'm in what I'm purposely trying to do is I'm going to snap off the throttle and turn to get the back end light, and I want to step the back end out a little bit. The hard part is getting it to. I want to get to step out enough that I can slowly reapply power and just have this nice arc through the corner. I don't want to get in a situation where I'm having to do counter steering or feathering the throttle, because then I'm losing time. So if I do it right, it's just a lift and turn in. I'll feel the back end step out. I'll start to roll back in. Maybe just open it up a little bit, commit back, but hopefully be back to full throttle to let the car come out here to the left side. Again, I'm going to stay off the exit curbing here because it's bumpy. It'll upset the car. But I'm going to try and get it as close to the line as possible. Coming down into the stadium section, past track guides, I always point out, if you notice how the wall goes down the track, but then it juts in just before the stadium section turn in. That's kind of what I'm looking for as far as breaking point for the right-hander for the stadium section. So they say I'm going to play chicken with the wall. So I'm going to hold it here on the left side. Now in past and faster cars, usually we're breaking a little bit further back, but for this one, I can actually use the point where this wall kind of reparallels with the white line. So right about here is where I'm going to be braking. Let's see, I'll be in third gear. I will drop it to second, and it's brake, brake, brake. I might start cheating the turn in, but for me, coming off the brake to commit for turn in is going to be right where I guess that's speakers or something, whatever that white, that white tower is with the black boxes on it. One of these days I'm just going to have to get in camera mode, what is that? I just know I see white tower, black boxes, and as that's going out of view, that's where I'm going to release the brake and then commit into the corner and hopefully start to roll back into the throttle. But even then, I won't be going full back to the throttle. It's going to be a late apex, so I'm going to aim for the last half of this corner, last part of it, as I'm slowly rolling back into the throttle. Hopefully to be back full throttle just as I pass that apex. Let the car come out to the left side, second gear. You will need to go to third. Bring it back over to the right side. And my braking point also seems to still be the same here for this next kind of this next kind of hairpin. This next hairpin is where you can see where the tire bundles, you can see how they're wrapped, but then you have the loose tires at the end. It's when those loose tires at the end as they start to go out of view, that's where I'm braking for this next hairpin down to second gear. It is kind of a double apex. I'm going to roll it in, get on the curbing a little bit. I might bring the car out a little bit, then bring it back across, but I'm going to try and hug it, then roll back into the throttle, let the car come all the way out to the right side, and can kind of continue the turn. Here you can, and I won't be consistent with this. Sometimes I'll probably just skirt the white line, but you can, get pretty far over. As you can see, I'm halfway straddling the track limit, and we haven't tripped off. You don't see the little exclamation point flashing there. So you can use a lot of this inside curve to try and straighten this out. And same thing coming across the other side. You can kind of clip the inside here, no problem. Braking, again, slower car, and this is what I was noticing on my practice laps. Usually I'm kind of using where this access road rejoins the circuit as kind of my, when I see that kind of disappear and I'm just seeing the parallel grass with the line. Usually I'm kind of using that as a basis for where I'm braking. Like the Bentley, I was braking as I was getting to that. This one I think it's like a hair, a millisecond or a half second or just after it goes out of view, that's where you can brake. Um, that's the best way I can describe it. It's a little bit past where that access road disappears. Um, still still down to second gear, probably bring it out a little bit. I always miss this apex. But I might bring it in, I might eat a little curb there, let the car just naturally come out to the left side, try and stay off the curbing out here if you can. Still second gear, turn this one in. This one I will use a lot of that inside curbing, roll back into the throttle and out onto the front straightaway. So second gear, third gear, and that's a lap of Hockenheim National. So really, it's just going to be about. I keep harping on it, but I don't know who watches this and what you take from it. It is keeping tabs on the rear and learning how to use the throttle, whether you're coming off the throttle, getting on the throttle, to steer the rear of the car. So think of it this way: I'm going to use I'm going to use the steering wheel to steer the front of the front tires of the car, but I'm going to use the throttle to steer the rear and get the rear to rotate around. So whether that's snapping off the throttle to get the weight light and let it kind of drift out on its own. And there may even be cases where I'm going to stomp the throttle to spin up the rear tires to break it loose to get it to straighten out. Usually, if I'm doing that, it's because the car's pushing, and I need to get a little more rotation to get it pointed where I need it to go. So, all right, that is the track walk. Let's go ahead and finish the test drive. So Matt's put in here 20 laps for this race. Actually, I kind of re-looked at the time. Again, he's going to blame me like if the lap count's wrong. It's because my times were bad. Well, when he's asking me to go run test laps at 12 different, the 12 tracks to help him figure out lap times. Yeah, I'm only going to do a couple laps on each, and it takes me a while sometimes to find my ultimate pace. But it looks like 20 laps actually I think is going to be good. Spa, I think we just need to trim that one a lap down to 12. But other than that, it's the same classes that I raced with at Spa, same intervals. We'll just see how this all works out. I haven't run with the AI here yet, so this will be fun. Let's go ahead and start. So still starting up front is going to be the same class, the historic road racing class that this car is in. Though again, because Forza Drive Tire System, even on unbeatable and with driver aggression turned off, most human players are still faster than the driver cars in the same equipment. But they'll be our jam cars. Starting second here is going to be I think these are the historic drag racers. Little bit better as far as pace wise, but again, they're drag racers, so they're gonna go really fast in a straight line, but they're gonna suffer in the corners, and we're probably gonna see some inside front tires in the air. Starting just behind them is the birth of Grand Prix, so the nice historic open wheel Grand Prix cars from I don't want to say pre-war, but definitely pre 60s, and they're definitely quicker. So my whole thing is, if I'm going to finish ahead of any of them, it's going to be because I was better in traffic. And then there's me, my steering wheel, and my pretentious driving gloves. Brake at the green, down to first. And every now and then, I know it's tempting to not to watch what the game is doing and not watch what I'm doing, but some of these turns, keep an eye on how much lock I'm actually putting in. Again, I am running normal steering, rotation set at 540. A little bit early. So I'm letting off for this last corner right as I'm getting to that blend line that comes across the track there. A little too much push out there, but we'll get it figured out. I'm gonna want to exit here. Oh, that was a little too wide. Talk about try to stay off the curves, and then all of a sudden, like, well, I'm really using a lot of curves where I didn't think I was. Not sure if I'm just turning in too early or if I'm just still carrying a little too much speed through one. I just hear the back tire squealing a little bit. That's a little better. Oh, someone smoked the tires. Ah, it's you. I thought about it. I was looking for the crossover there, but no. But he's gonna let me pass him on the outside? Nope. But I'll take the crossover here. Since I'm stuck in a bit of traffic here, I'm actually gonna purposely go wide at one and just kind of talk about, like, because I think this is what I was doing with the Bentley last time to try and, you know, lose enough time that you don't get dinged. So I'm off. All right, fine. Something like that. Or, if you go off, just use that tarmac at the exit of one and slow down there, but just, merge back on gracefully. Something else I'm noticing heading into that hairpin, again, this is just sometimes things you don't notice until you're up at speed or trying to get speed. There's a grass patch. There's like a slightly lighter grass patch that, as it's going out of view, seems to correspond with where I'm braking now. Oh, back stepped out a little bit. Yeah, it's a little too quick back to throttle. And actually, I'm releasing the brakes a little bit later than I thought I had been. So it's a little bit past where I described. All right, so heading down to the this next hairpin. And if you notice, you can kind of see the grass has little imperfections, little lighter spots here or there. So keep your eye on the grass on the right side. You'll see a light patch go out of view just as I brake. So again, it's very subtle. Ooh, should have downshifted. Maybe not. Maybe I was just turned in too late. That was actually pretty good. there. That would be a time penalty. Oh, lowrider off. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. Oh my. Less singing, more driving. It's not why you don't watch these to hear me sing. All right, well, we're gonna pit about halfway, so end of lap 10. I didn't time that right, but I might still be able to. It'll be a bit of a dive bomb. Nope, excuse me, pardon me. What you notice is, like through that hairpin, I got back the throttle, but not full throttle. I didn't commit to full throttle till I knew I was kind of back on the main circuit past the hump there. Probably brake a little bit later there next time, or maybe not as much. High speed, low drag. Oh, should have been in first there. That's all right. So you can do it in second. Even there, when I talk about I'm going to come out of the throttle to turn in to try and get the back end to step out a little bit, I wasn't fully off the throttle. It's just enough. Look at that sucker lean like a drunken sailor. See his shadow, he's still there. Yeah. I'll let him go. Ooh, wow, you are really slow through there. Two bits, 4 bits, up to 16. All 4 Forza stand up and lean. A lean, a lean, a lean, a lean, a lean, a lean, a lean. A lean, a lean, a lean, a lean, a lean, a lean, a lean. Sorry. Lame jokes. I'll be here all week. Try the veal, tip your waiter. It's either that or what do you do with the drunken sailor? What do you do with the drunken sailor? What do you do with the drunken sailor lying alone? See, when I start singing, then I miss shifts and yeah. A little bit of a run. I'm gonna total dive bomb. Ooh, no, couldn't get there. All right, pit lane. Let's talk about how to get in here. I have no idea. So brake, keep it in second gear. Just keep it to the right. And no, don't do what he did. But yeah, just keep it in second gear. Don't go all the way back to the throttle and just turn it in. It's not too difficult of a pit lane entry. Unless you're that, what is that? Ford? It's not a Ford Falcon. It's what, the Ford Fairlane? Is that what that one is? Maybe will pit in front of me and I'll find out. Yeah, Ford Fairlane. Okay. So pit exit. Again, nothing too difficult. It's going to put you, it should put us straight out past turn one. Just when you get back to throttle, stay to the left of the white line until you get to the end. And then if it's clear, go ahead and take the racing line. Again, cold tires, but again, cold tires. But if you do this in first gear, shouldn't have any problems with car pushing like that. All right. There, I was playing around like how much throttle can I give it before the back end really starts to step out. Probably floated the car in a little bit more than I wanted. At 8/10, I guess I haven't really set a fast clean lap yet. Oh, it's a little late. A little too much on the outside there. Again, the back end started to step out, so I had to throw a little counter steer into it. Actually, I'm going to try some of these in second gear and see if there's a time difference. Watch, I'll be like 3/10 up. Oh, 10th down. That just might be, again, I'm trying to carry the same amount of speed in, but since I'm not getting any help from the lower gear, from the higher gear in this case, I'm probably having to scrub a bit of speed in the corners more than I normally would. Probably do one more lap doing this just to see what happens. I'll do this in third. It's possible. It's just, I think there's just a bit more torque on the rear as I get back to full throttle. Oh, that's a little early. But yeah, as far as the exit of this turn, it's like I do aim for that curving on the left side. It's 2/10 there that I did not have before. Just pushing a little bit through there. Back to previous method. It's even there. If I got, and it's really turn one is what's making the difference. You know, you get turn right, it's worth a couple of tenths. But this lap is going to be slightly compromised. Whoop! You are already sliding. Not my fault. Oh, it's a little too much slide there in the back. I think I got used to doing that in third. So, haven't really talked about passing places. I mean, the obvious places are obvious. You can definitely try and set up a pass here if you get a really good run out of turn one. And it is possible to pass in turn one if you're side by side, but you both got to kind of agree that you can go side by side through turn one. Again, down here, you get a run onto this straight. Definitely, if you can try to set up a pass into this corner. Look for crossovers if someone gets it wrong. Don't know that you're gonna, I don't think this straight's long enough to get a good run, but you could use it to try and set up a run out of this corner, not into it, but try to set up a run out of this corner where you might be able to try and get a pass done going into the stadium section. And again, this is a good corner to look for crossovers. And this is also another one, look for crossovers. So Hockenheim actually has some decent places to pass. Not so much down through here. But definitely, you can look, you might be able to stick a nose in, but, I would probably use this turn to set up a run into the braking at turn one. Yeah, a little too much slide. And then going over the curbing is probably going to cost me probably a tenth or two off the fastest lap. .15. And of course, it doesn't help when I miss shifts as well. Thought about it. It's just not long enough of a braking zone to set up a pass there. Oh my God, wow. The draft dirtied it. I was gonna say, that was, again, I always joke about questionable racecraft, but I'm surprised I actually made that work, didn't hit him, and didn't go off track. At the rate that I'm catching lap traffic, I may only get one more shot. Whoa! At fast lap there. That's I did my initial braking, then I lifted a little bit thinking like I braked too soon, and then realized like, no, I can't, that was just right. And just didn't get back onto the brakes in time. I'm wondering if third gear actually is better for that turn just in general. So we'll try that next lap. Excuse me. Yeah, third gear might be better through there in general. It's just you have to be careful when you go back to full throttle in the exit because you'll have more torque, and that might get the rears to spin up on you. All right, last lap. And we dirty it. Oh well, I try. Looking at the race timer, I think 20 laps is right on the money. Don't know why I went to first there, but a little bit wide there. But that is 20 laps at Hockenheim National. 143.4. I don't. Well, again, I think most of that lap is turn one. Most of your lap time, you can gain or lose, you know, quarter of a second depending on how well you get through turn one. But that's Hockenheim National and the Falcon. Um, Again, for me. I keep saying again, because I keep talking about it. It is managing the rear of the car, and again, how I think about it is, I'm using the steering wheel for the front tires, and the throttle, as much as the throttle is to get the car to accelerate, it is helping steer the rear of the car through weight transfer. So, do I want to throw more weight to the rear? Do I want to take some weight off of it? The throttle can help me do that, and then depending on what I'm doing with the wheel here, can help get the rear to do what I want it to do. Thankfully, it's when once it starts to step out, it's at least progressive enough that you do get pretty good warning when it starts to. So with that, I'm going to call this stream to bring this stream to a close, and hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you have fun practicing for the races on Thursday, and we will see you soon. Happy racing.